All right, today is Wednesday, April 11, 2018. This is the meeting of the Kubernetes CSI implementation group. So today we have a special guest, Jordan Liggett. Jordan is going to discuss how secrets can be passed in to CSI drivers controlled by a consumer. These are the node publish and the controller publish secrets. This was something that is assigned to Sergey this quarter, and it looks like Sergey and Jordan had a offline conversation. So I don't want to waste Jordan's time, so we'll go straight to that. Jordan, do you want to take over? Do you want to share your screen?
Actually, if you just go back to the poll, the description in there is pretty good. I can talk through that. So down at the bottom where it talks through the scenarios that we're trying to figure out how to enable, the main things we want to do are to put the power of how the provisioner behaves in the hands of the storage admin. So the storage admin is the one setting up the storage class, and they should be able to decide which of these scenarios their driver falls into and how they want it to behave. And so the three main approaches that seemed likely were a for per volume publish secrets, and this is specifically node publish. I hadn't looked at the controller publish bit, but it seems like it could be done similarly. The three main types of per volume secrets seem to be generated secrets. So at the point where a volume is created, some sort of encryption key unique to that volume would also be generated and made available for the node to use. What process generates that is out of scope. That can be done out of band. It could be done with a separate controller that is looking for PVs belonging to this storage class and then going off and generating a key, or it can be done manually. It can be done any way we want. But letting the storage class indicate that the node publish secret should be unique to the PV is one use case. A second use case is a storage admin configured secret, which is really just a variant of the previous one. So in the first one, it's being generated. In the second one, maybe it's an existing secret, an existing credential to some cloud provider or something that they need to extract and make available. And then the third use case is a secret provided by the PVC author. And so this is a little less obvious that is something we want, but it parallels similar things done with annotations on services that control cloud-specific, load balancer-specific tuning and options and things. So if we wanted to enable that, if the storage admin wanted to enable that, they are responsible for communicating to their PVC users, you need to request this storage class and put this annotation on it and point it to a secret with this format. And so how the PVC user gets that information is out of band, and the structure of the secret they're providing is out of band. But this enables the storage admin to pull information from the PVC and then make use of it. And so what this is doing, these are example parameters in your storage class. And it's basically supporting these template variables in those parameters. And so the storage admin could use the name of the PV, the name of the PVC, the namespace of the PVC, or a particular annotation value from the PVC, and make those be part of the published secret name or namespace.
So the second two cases make perfect sense to me. the storage administration configured secret, and the PVC end user configured secret. For the generated secret, why would you want to, what does this mean exactly when you put the PV name in there?
That's just, so that would
correspond to the PV object name?
Yeah. So when it created the PV, it would say, when I publish this PV on the node, I'm going to go fetch the secret named publish secret dot whatever the name of the PV is.
Mm-hmm.
And the publish secret dot isn't magic. That's just indicating you can kind of put in static values as part of the value. And so that would result in a PV with a node publish secret ref pointing to this publish secret dot foo in the generated secrets namespace. And then the node, when it went to publish that volume, would attempt to fetch that secret. And if that secret hadn't been provisioned yet, the node would fail and go into its retry loop, saying, I can't set up the volumes, I'm going to retry. I can't set up the volumes, I'm going to retry. And so it would go into a holding pattern until the secret that it required
exists,
showed up.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And to be clear, when you say the node, it would be the external CSI provisioner.
The provisioner or the so the node publish secret. I'm trying to get my phases straight.
Oh, right. Okay. So
this is what's going to be pulled by the kubelet and then passed into the CSI driver.
Right.
So it seems that the provisioner needs to do some prep work, so the further node publish call can be accomplished, because it's gonna fetch this secret reference and push it in the CSI call.
Yeah.
So actually, the provisioner doesn't have to do anything with the secret itself. All it is doing is setting the reference in the PV.
Right, but in the PV, it needs to populate that field, right?
Yes, so that's exactly what Jordan's saying. Okay.
So that's what this pull request does. So this pull request takes these two parameters from the storage class. And I think, yeah, that's it.
That is brilliant. I like it.
So it takes those two parameters, expands those templates, and then makes sure that they're valid. The result is a valid secret name and namespace name.
Yeah.
And then sets the reference on the PV. So the provisioner doesn't actually have to. That's weird. I didn't expect that to show up.
What to do?
I might have gotten a. Yeah, I didn't think I changed that. Anyway, the provisioner doesn't actually have to fetch the node publish secret at all.
Right.
All it is doing is taking the parameters that the storage admin provided and fluffing those up and then filling out the PV.
I have a question. The mechanism to expand the template, is that supported by storage class, or is it just being implemented by this PR?
It's implemented by this PR. So I mean the storage class parameter values are opaque and can be whatever the provisioner wants them to be. And so this provisioner would support these specific variables and those and treat them as templates.
Right, but those values are placed in a storage class, right?
No. So if you look at the function that expands those, it's actually the input to that is the name of the PV, which the provisioner knows because it's about to go create it, and then information from the PVC, so the name, namespace, and annotations.
So Vlad, think of in your storage class, you would have something like this, where it doesn't know the specific PV or the specific PVC that's going to end up using it. It's just a template placeholder.
I see.
And then when the provisioner, the external provisioner for CSI comes along and says, I need to provision a specific instance,
right,
it's going to go ahead and inject the PV name or the PVC namespace for that particular volume. And then it doesn't, like Jordan said, actually need to go and fetch any of these secrets. It just needs to make sure that for the PV object that's created, that these fields are properly set. And then the subsequent steps, it's the same way. The secret is already set, and they can just go ahead and consume it.
And I only ask because this looks like something that would be useful for storage class in general.
Well, you can't have it both ways. The parameters on the storage class are either opaque or they are not. And
Right.
so
Yep.
I think it's an interesting approach. I think it would be useful for other provisioners to do similar things potentially,
Right.
but yeah, we're not gonna redefine storage class to be partially opaque.
And since we're going to have more and more drivers go through CSI, I think this will end up being more de facto over time.
What this does too is it lets you basically program the CSI external provisioner without having to change the provisioner code. It supports a variety of use cases. So yeah, anyway, if you want to leave comments on the PR or things you want me to change, I can expand this to do something similar for the controller publish as well, if we want to pull these in together. But
so right now it's implemented for node publish only.
Yeah,
I think it would make sense to do it for everything in CSI volume source, which is node publish, node stage, and controller publish.
Okay. One note is that the parts of the PVC that are under the PVC user's control, so that's the name and the annotations, are not processed in the namespace template, because we don't want to accidentally let a PVC user point us at a different namespace. So the things that can be used in the namespace template are the name of the PV, which is not under the PVC user's control,
right,
and the namespace of the PVC, which is not under their control. I also wondered if we wanted to add UID in here. We don't have the UID of the PV because at this point it hasn't been created yet.
Right.
We do have the UID of the PVC, so if anyone has feedback. My thought originally was to start with a pretty limited subset, and then we can expand if we want.
Makes sense. Okay. Sounds good to me. I'd be in support of extending this for the other secrets as well.
Okay. It should be pretty easy. I'll refactor it a little bit so that function can be used for all of those, and probably update it today or tomorrow.
And Sergey, could you review this PR?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Thanks a lot, Jordan. This is awesome. I'll take a look at it as well, and then we'll keep an eye out for the revision.
Is there a place where we are documenting how you drive this provisioner? I didn't see any. I saw a couple examples, but they didn't really exercise all the parameters.
I think it should be under our documentation page.
Okay.
Take a look here. If it's not there, that means we should do a better job documenting it. Okay. That's kubernetes-csi.github.io.
Okay. Something else I will call out, and I can split this part out if we want to. When I was looking at the secret handling, it looked like the provision secret defaulted to the default namespace if no parameter was specified. That first paragraph there that you have highlighted, that I would not recommend that. And so just because if you make a typo in the storage class parameter, suddenly you're loading secrets from a different namespace than you meant to.
Yep. Okay.
So I would strongly recommend making it explicit. And if you give us the name and not the namespace, we say, I'm sorry, I can't, you have to give me both. But I wasn't sure, the compatibility guarantees around this, if this is still pre-release and we can make changes like that.
Yeah, we can. So right now it's all beta, and that means there are bugs, and that sounds like a bug, and we can fix that.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Cool.
I'll fix this up and ping you and look for updating the docs as well.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Jordan.
Yep. Bye.
Take care. All right, that was awesome. This was a huge part of what we wanted to do with secrets for this quarter, so I'm glad that we got an early start on that. Thank you, Sergey and Jordan, for driving it. Let's go ahead and just run through this real quick. Unfortunately, Luis is not able to make it today. We'll sync up with him at the next meeting about the status of this item. For the bugs that need attention, this PR needed to be cherry-picked. I believe the cherry pick was sent out, and I was able to approve the cherry pick. Let me take a look at that real quick just to verify. There is the cherry pick PR. And I approved it. It's just waiting approval from the person who owns the branch. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that as green for now. You don't need to continue to track this. That should work its way through the system. CSI end-to-end tests were failing. David, do you want to give an update on this PR?
Like a full update or just like what the current status is?
Whatever the current status is.
Yeah, it just merged. I haven't actually checked whether the CI is the GKE stuff is running now.
Okay.
I don't actually know where that is, but
right here.
I tested it myself and it should be
Oh, it worked. Beautiful. Good job.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
All right, cool. We'll go ahead and mark that as green as well. Thank you for working on that, David.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, we have CSI tests are occasionally flaky. This had a dependency, we believe, on the external provision or timeout issue. We need to get the new 0.2 containers cut. Luis was planning on doing this. I'm not sure if he had a chance to do it or not. So we'll sync up with him next time on this. And then Q2 work, sorry, go ahead.
Are we done with bugs? Because there was one I added.
Okay.
It's right there at the top. I already added it. You just right there.
How am I going over it? Where'd it go?
No, here, at the top. It's right there at the top. Right there. You go. Oh. Are you? Wait. Did I? No. I'm looking at your screen. Right underneath the cursor, it says Vladimir.
Oh. Okay. Got it.
So this one was pointed out to me by what's it, Chris?
Chris Duchesne. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we're not applying FS group, which I thought we were, but
okay.
So right now, if it's not read only, we're not applying the file system group.
Got it. And this is on which component?
This would be in the setup at method inside the mounter.
Got it. I thought there was a bug open to do this. Or
yeah, that kind of sounds familiar, and I just threw it on there.
Okay. So can you go ahead and open an issue for it, and
yeah.
We'll get traction on this. I'll keep tracking it for subsequent releases.
Yeah. I'll open something.
To look into it, or
yeah, I told him I'll see if I can, because he's jumping for it. So
all right. Thanks for that, Vlad, and thanks for Chris for raising that issue.
Yeah.
Cool. So for the Q2 work for this quarter, what I wanted to do is make sure that we're balanced in the work assignments. So it looks like Vlad has 1, 2, okay, 2 items. They're both fairly large. Vlad, do you feel comfortable with that?
I think the kubelet device plugin haven't been fleshed out. It's I thought we're still kind of design or exploratory.
Yeah, I think we're getting close to finishing up on the design. I'm not sure what the latest status on that is and whether it got into 110 or not. They were saying they were targeting 110. but I'm not sure.
Okay, so let me circle back with you as far as
Okay.
where that is. That because right now, it may be just a kind of early stage work, so I don't know how much of it is. So so for now, I would leave it until
Okay.
I figure out it's a lot of work. Now this I know it's a lot of work, the block volume.
Yeah.
So I got to figure that out.
Okay. And we can rebalance. Just let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know early enough.
Okay, so I've got topology, Shing's got snapshots, Felipe has driver registrar, Brad and Luis are finding new homes for important drivers. Amanth is driving the max volume count stuff. Luis is moving CSI Sanity repo. Jan is helping with the Amazon driver. David is doing the entry volume deprecation design. We don't have anybody signed up for the rest of these items. And then for the last one, Sergey and Jordan are already making amazing progress on that. So glad to see that. Okay. The other thing I want to do is set priorities on these items, so we can kind of, while we go through the quarter, figure out what are the things that we should be focusing on.
Okay.
Block volume support, I think, should be a P0 for us this quarter.
Okay.
Do you guys agree, or?
And then would that be an alpha implementation for this quarter?
Correct.
Okay.
Volume alpha implementation. And the reason I'd like to do that is if we're targeting GA for CSI next quarter, then we should try to get this in this quarter and let it bake so that we can promote it.
Absolutely.
Quarter.
Okay.
Topology, I would also put as a P0 for the same exact reason. And then the device plugin, same thing. Snapshots, I think, are nice to have, but they shouldn't be a blocker. And if we have to wait until next quarter to get them in, I wouldn't be too worried about it. Pulling driver registrar logic into kubelet, this is a security issue. I'm going to say P1. Finding a home for unowned important drivers, pretty important. P1, P2, what do you guys think?
Definitely at least a P1 because we have to, bite the bullet at some point.
Yeah. Creating an Amazon driver, P1, P2. I would say that we can probably go this quarter if it doesn't happen. It wouldn't be a huge issue. We still have another quarter before GA. So I'm going to leave that as P2 unless someone disagrees.
Well, is GA next quarter or
GA
after?
is end of next quarter, so it would be end of Q3, which would be June, July, August. So July, August timeframe.
Okay.
Dynamic max volume count feature, I think that's important. Considering it has a dependency on Kubernetes, I would mark it P2 internally for the CSI. Whenever they publish, have it the story nailed down for the Kubernetes side of things, then we can figure out what it looks like on the CSI side. Moving to CSI Sanity. To this, I would bundle with the other moving work, which is P2, meaning if we don't move it, it's not the end of the world. It would be very nice to do, and probably higher priority before GA, so next quarter. Designing entry volume deprecation, I would put this as a P1. It's pretty important, and we need to get this design started because this is going to be the next big step for storage SIG, is figuring out how this is going to work.
And so P1 would be this quarter or next?
So P0, we absolutely need to get this quarter. P1, we should try really hard to get in this quarter. P2,
okay.
Nice to have.
All right. And for this particular item, it's just a design, and then
correct.
Next quarter we
start
actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Verify ephemeral volumes and local volumes P3. It would be nice to do, but if we don't get to it, it's okay. It's not our biggest priority. Can we get rid of external attacher P3? Design how to integrate CSI volume calls so I'd say that's a P3 as well. And then finally, the credentials work, I'd say is a P1 or P2. I'd say P1 since it actually affects how people are able to use secrets with Kubernetes. So for example, Sergey pointed out that with the Ceph driver that he's creating, with the existing secrets mechanism, he's not really able to use it. So this is pretty important for us to nail down.
Good.
All right, so that looks like a pretty good spread to me. We might want to rebalance some of this work going forward, but I think this is a good start. And then let's, I don't know if Chakri is going to be participating this quarter. I'll ping him offline. And if not, then we might need to pick up these two work items from last quarter for this quarter. And then David, end-to-end test for GCPD, any updates on that?
Yeah, so now that the cluster roll stuff has gone in, I was just waiting on that, so now I can modify my end-to-end test to use that stuff, and should be able to get the PR out by the end of this week.
Awesome. Thanks, David. I think that's pretty much it. Anything else anybody wants to talk about?
Well, I'm guessing at some point we'll have that spreadsheet you usually come up with.
Yeah. So there is the CSI. So I'm going to put this into this kind of yellow, green, orange format.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I want to do is actually transfer it to the agenda planning spreadsheet, which we have for Kubernetes SIG storage. I think some of the items are already there.
Okay, yeah,
I'll go ahead and transfer the other items. So normally what we did in the past was there were so many items for CSI, we just kind of had one high-level item in the Kubernetes storage SIG planning spreadsheet for CSI, and then we tracked the individual items separately. I think we're getting to a point where we have few enough big features that we can probably track them in the big meeting. So I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay.
All right. Anything else anybody wants to talk about?
For blog, I'll reach out to you and Red Hat.
Yeah.
Red Hat.
I am Mitsuhiro from the Red Hat team, and Aaron Boyd and Scott.
Aaron, yeah. Okay. And see where they left off. Okay.
It's this set of folks, I think. Yeah. Cool. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Thanks,
Awesome.
everyone.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.